Hey readers, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Paloma, and today's video are going to be the books on my September TBR. So let's get started. So for September, I'm going to be doing Sci-Fi September. I've always loved doing themed months, like Black History Month, Women's History Month, Sci-Fi September, Noirvember. And so, like I said, this month we're doing Sci-Fi September, where I'm mostly going to be reading sci-fi books. All of them are going to be sci-fi books that I've never read before, and I'm really excited to kind of get into them and kind of get into that sci-fi vibe. And what's great about this is these are all books that I got from my local library. And when the librarian gave me my receipt and it said I had saved $42, I nearly jumped for joy. Like, that is amazing to me. Because if I spent $42 at Barnes & Noble's getting these books, girl. So the first book is Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler. This is a dystopian book where global climate change and economic crisis lead to social chaos in the early 2020s. This is my first Octavia Butler. I have seen such good things about this book on TikTok, and so I'm really, really excited. I've always kind of been interested in seeing sci-fi through a Black author's point of view, because most of the time sci-fi is kind of in a white space. So I'm really excited to see what Octavia Butler has to bring. My sister used to have Kindred, but she didn't like it, so I think we gave it away. I really regret that we did that because I wish I had it. Then the next book is going to be The Stars Like Dust by Isaac Asimov. This is the first book in the Galactic Empire series, which is kind of the precursor to the Foundation series. I never finished Foundation, so I'm hoping this will kind of give me a bit more interest into getting back into the Foundation book. I do watch the series on Apple TV Plus, and I really like it, but I do know that the TV show is kind of different from the book, so I don't know if that'll kind of alter my opinion of it. This is my second Asimov book. I read Nemesis a couple years ago, and I'm hoping I like this book more than I like Nemesis. Not that there's anything wrong with Nemesis. I think the sci-fi aspect of it was really great. I just think Asimov was not good at writing personal relationships. I thought the characters were kind of flat in comparison to the sci-fi aspect of it all, but in reality he was a scientist, so I can't fault him for it. Then we have Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. A lot of people tend to read this in October just to kind of get that spooky vibe, but I'm one of those people who think Mary Shelley is the originator of the sci-fi genre, so that is why I'm going to be reading her in Sci-Fi September. I know little bits and pieces about Frankenstein. I know Frankenstein is actually the name of the creator of the monster, Victor Frankenstein, but I don't really know too much else about the story, so I can't wait to dive in and kind of see what the story actually is in comparison to like the popular media version of Frankenstein, because I do know, I feel like he was featured in the TV show The Munsters. I didn't watch it, but I know of it, and I think Frankenstein was there. Then you have Frankenstein's wife, and I think Frankenstein was featured in Monster High. So there's like the version of Frankenstein that's kind of popular in media. So I want to see the original monster and kind of see what he's like. Then to break it up, because I don't want to get too sci-fi, I have James by Percival Everett. Like Parable of the Sower, I have seen this book a lot on TikTok, and everybody loves this book so much. So I want to see what it's about. I never really read The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, so this will be interesting to read about a character I have next to no knowledge about that's kind of already established in another book. Maybe this will convince me to read The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, but I think from what I know, James is kind of just like a secondary character, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm just really, really excited to read this. Then another sci-fi breakup is going to be Lust and Caution by Eileen Chang. This is just a quick short read about two people who fall in love during the Japanese occupation of China and Hong Kong. My dad got this for me because he thought I would love to see the difference between the book and the movie that's directed by Ang Lee, who did Brokeback Mountain, which it is true. I love to read books and then watch the movie to kind of see where the movie either gets it wrong or gets it right. That's one of my favorite things to do. The main reason why I'm doing Sci-Fi September is one of my goals for this year is to kind of expand the genre of books that I read. I mostly read historical fiction and literary fiction. And so being able to kind of step outside of that boundary and get deeper into sci-fi is really a great way for me to like expand my mind on different topics and different themes that you normally wouldn't find in historical fiction or literary fiction, or it's something that you would find in there except just this time we're in space, or it's a dystopian kind of world. I've always been of the opinion that reading is essential in developing empathy, developing your own form of opinion, or even just how you would handle a situation that's presented to you. If something happens and you're like, oh, wait, this actually happened to a character in this, you could either follow that character's path or you could stem away from it because you're like, well, if that was actually me, I wouldn't do that. And that's why I love reading so much. I think it's such a powerful tool in expanding the mind. And so then starting in September, if you've been on TikTok, there is a creator who goes by Elizabeth Jean or Parmesan Princess that kind of started the trend of the personal curriculum. And so the personal curriculum is basically how you would act in school, but for your own personal curiosity. So say if you wanted to get into cooking, you would buy the cookbooks that you need, and by the end of the semester, you would have made, all these meals and kind of learned something about yourself in terms of cooking. And so my personal curriculum is going to be writing. One of my personal goals is to be a published writer, and I think I've struggled a lot within the last few years to kind of push myself forward in gaining enough inspiration and courage to kind of put myself out there in terms of writing. And so with this personal curriculum, I will not only be able to kind of enhance my writing skills that I've already obtained throughout my time in school and college, but also kind of just gain a bit more courage in showcasing my work a bit more to not just me. I've been writing since I was about maybe 14 years old, and I've never really published anything because I sort of have imposter syndrome. Now with the likes of like Colleen Hoover and like Wattpad books becoming mainstream in the publishing industry, the imposter syndrome has kind of lessened a bit, but I do still have a bit of it where like if I put myself out there, what if people find it boring? What if they find it bad? And things like that. And these are stories and characters that really mean a lot to me. So it would be really heartbreaking if I did that and nobody liked it. And so with this personal curriculum, I want to be able to say at the end of the semester that I have more courage in putting myself out there. So the first book is going to be Kama Sutra by Lori Rozakis. This is going to help with grammar and things like that. And what I love about it is that it's basically like a workbook where you can do all these exercises to kind of show that you learned something while reading this. So I'm really excited to kind of get into this and work on my grammar. I did grammar in middle school, and my grammar teacher was like, girl, you got to do better. You have to. So hopefully this will help me. Then we have the Little English Handbook, the 6th edition by Edward P.J. Corbett and Cheryl Finkel. Like the Kama Sutra, it's going to help with grammar, but also with style, punctuation, and mechanics and other problem areas that people kind of have within English. And again, like Kama Sutra, I was never really good at style, punctuation, and things like that. I kind of just wrote and hoped for the best, especially when it came to essays in college. I was like, I don't want to do a second check. You're going to take what I give, and that's it. So this will give me a more concrete understanding of what it takes to kind of write in a more concise way. Then we have The Anatomy of Story by John Truby. This will be the 22 steps to becoming a master storyteller. I have so many documents and so many plot ideas that are just kind of sitting there, and they're very face level plots and things like that. So this book will be able to help me kind of go deeper into that plot. If I have any subplots, what makes a good villain, what makes good tension, and things like that. And I think that'll really help me in figuring out where I want these stories to go. Then also by John Truby, we have The Anatomy of Genre. The amount of genres my stories have, it's almost infinite. I have some science fiction, I have some vampire, I have some historical fiction, and westerns and things like that. So this will be another great way for me to kind of delve into those specific genres and see what makes them more nuanced. And in this, he also delves into kind of the movie aspect of it all. He talks about Casablanca, It's a Wonderful Life, and kind of what makes those good stories well written, especially within the genre that it is. Then we have The Courage to Write by Ralph Keyes. Like I said before, because I do have a little bit of imposter syndrome, this will help me kind of step over that hurdle and get over that fear. A lot of my writing has never seen the light of day except in assignment form, and even then, I never really like to share it with anybody else. And so I'm hoping by the end of this personal curriculum, I will have the courage to kind of put myself out there, whether it's in writing form or even just on a personal level, because I do struggle with putting myself out there. And you're thinking, Paloma, you're making a YouTube video. You're technically putting yourself out there. But I don't know. There's something different when it comes to writing. With this, I can edit out anything I don't want. Once I put that book to the printing press, that's kind of it. There's no go backs. And so the main goal that I want for this personal curriculum is to write at least 3 to 5 short stories, just to kind of get my foot in the door of getting back into writing. A lot of the things that I'm writing are novel based, and so that can just take as long as it wants. But with a short story, you have a certain amount of pages and you have to get to the point very quickly. And that's really what I want to do. I want to be able to write these things and get to the point quickly and do it in a manner that's enticing enough to people as well as to myself. I'm hoping to complete that by December. I am hoping I stick with it, and you are a witness too. And if you see me fumble, tell me to get back on track. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!